right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our WiscWeb November Lunch and Learn. I'm Jenna Clinner. I'm the service coordinator for the WiscWeb team. I'm joined here by Matt Goins, and Ketter Joyner is actually going to be speaking today. We also have several folks from the team and from Stratcom also joining in, just watching for in the background. We can go to the next slide there. Here's what we've got on the agenda today. So I'm going to give you some mostly service-related updates and reminders. We're going to talk about that UW Theme 2.0 migration update that Matt emailed about in the email about this session. We're going to go through some differences between UW Theme Classic and UW Theme 2.0, how to differentiate between the two, and how to log into the different environments and what that means. And then Ketter's going to do a little demo of design changes in UW Theme 2.0 that you might notice between elements that are just slightly different between the two themes. All right. For WiscWeb service updates, a reminder that all new sites, so if you're requesting a new site now, it's going to be built in UW Theme 2.0 by default. We are no longer building new sites in UW Theme Classic, so this could mean that most of your sites live in the old environment, but that new site you create lives in the new environment. A reminder that Kaltura embeds are still not working. We are in conversation with the Kaltura team about this. We have kind of narrowed down the issue. It's highly technical, so I won't explain it, but just noting that things are sort of in the Kaltura hands now, and I believe there's even kind of like a need for them to work with the vendor on a fix. Sounds like it's bigger than just WiscWeb. It's a WordPress thing, and that's all I'll share because, like I said, highly technical. But bravo to team members Matt Goins, Andy Summers, and Scott Berg for investigation into this issue because it was a tricky one. And thanks to all who have reported it as well. Just noting, still not working, link out for the time being. Reminder that we had an ACF update. ACF stands for Advanced Custom Fields. You don't really need to know that term. It's a UW Theme Classic thing. Basically, just noting that the interface in UW Theme Classic changed with a recent release. We did email about this, but I wanted to remind folks, because we have gotten emails, the settings icon for content layout rows is now in the left corner instead of the top right. And update on kind of like holiday and winter coverage, maybe. We are always lighter around the holidays. Obviously, folks are out of the office, so please do expect delays. That covers Thanksgiving and the winter holidays. And then around December, we always kind of adjust the launch timeline. We have a 2-week notice for site launches, so we're giving a cutoff of December 10th if you want to have your site launched in calendar year 2025. If it's not in by December 10th, it's going to launch probably in 2026 sometime. I'm going to pause there. I saw there was some chatter in the chat, so let me just see if there's anything.
Nothing exciting.
Nothing? Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's conversation. Oh, wait, here's a question that just came in.
Yeah.
Interface update. We can now name content blocks. Those would carry over to the UW. Ooh.
No, we have not created a migration path for that. Great question, Laura. So Laura asked, with the UW Theme Classic interface update, we can now name content blocks. Might you know if these would carry over into UW Theme 2.0 when migrated? No, because the migration tooling was built mostly before this change even happened, they wouldn't carry over. But I will say in UW Theme 2.0, you can name a lot of things in what we call the list view. So you'll have similar functionality if that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't personally, unless it's helpful for your workflow, probably not worth it to go through and name everything.
Yeah, unless you know you're not going to be migrating for, let's say, a year or so, like you're going to be doing this late next summer into the fall. Maybe it would help you because of how much content you're maybe putting on a page itself, but otherwise, no, I wouldn't invest much time into that.
Yeah, good question. No, thank you, Laura.
It's a great question.
All right. So many of you are probably here because you want to know an update on migration. We did email this morning that we're pushing back the release. So we were initially anticipating like an early November launch, like internally with where we were kind of shooting for. But we did find something large enough that we wanted to kind of push back that release and give it some more time for testing. Um, Mostly we want to limit how much work you need to do on your end during this migration. So this was something that we felt was important enough to fix so that your experience is better. And just noting like this process is really nuanced. So when we do changes, especially like large scale changes to this migration process, every single variation of every type of page element must be tested and retested. So it is a bit of a process, and we want to make sure that we get it right. So next slide kind of talks about timeline here. There's obviously a new timeline. We're no longer targeting what we consider fall because we don't believe that we'll be releasing in November. So the next target timeline is winter. We don't have a specific date chosen. It's really going to depend on when we feel the tooling is ready. We are doing, yes, what do you consider winter? December, January, February. Am I right on that? Is anyone going to argue? Yeah, when it's cold out. That's a tough one in Wisconsin. I'm considering winter like December, January, February, but let me know if anyone feels differently about that. Um,
Yeah. And honestly, the the winter is just basically we're saying winter because we can't put a date on it. So we're
yeah,
broadening it to the
broadening.
winter months, which would be December,
Yeah.
January, February-ish in Wisconsin, obviously.
Yeah.
We don't want to put a specific date on it because, and it's one of the reasons why you never heard us give a date when we kept saying fall.
Yeah.
We just don't know. And
Mhm.
every time we keep testing and retesting things, we learn something new. We find a better way to do this. We find a more efficient way for you all to engage with this. So that's why we keep pushing it, is because honestly, we're just trying to make it as good, seamless, and easy as possible for all of you to engage in it when we
Yeah.
do turn it on.
We are doing ample testing on our side, like I said, and things are looking really good. We've done some full site migrations, and we're just making sure there's nothing, no gotchas, and that any recent changes are working. We also want to make sure that we've documented anything that you might need to be aware of because this process is nuanced. Users will be alerted via the WiscWeb email list when it's available. I'm hoping that, maybe one day you'll just be very surprised to see that email come through earlier than expected, but we'll see. We want to give ourselves that buffer just in case. Uh, Beth asks, will this then impact how long we have to migrate? At this point, we haven't changed the deadline. So the deadline for migration would still be end of December 2020.
End of December 2026 is what she was gonna
Yeah,
try to
sorry,
say.
dry throat.
Dry.
Yeah. So at this point, I would say if we had to push this migration path back significantly more, we would probably look at that again. But um, at this point, we're still keeping the December 2026 date. Good question.
Yeah. And really I guess I don't know when we're gonna demo the migration process anymore, but it like I said, we're trying to keep it as seamless and straightforward as possible so that mostly you'll just have a couple of steps to go to basically update your pages. The more pages you have, the more time it will take, obviously, and some of the other nuanced things that have to occur. But um, hopefully, for the majority of you, this won't be an exceptionally um, overwhelming undertaking. Time consuming, yes, but I hope it won't be too overwhelming. But again, we're going to put some things in place on the support side of things to help out as much as we can as well. So,
Yeah. Um, any other questions about migration? I'll give it a moment in case there's any that roll in the chat. All right. If you think of anything, feel free to post it and we can circle back. Um, and now I'm going to kick things off to Matt. He's going to chat through some differences between UW Theme Classic and UW Theme 2.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have been seeing, some of the questions that we've been getting into the support is understanding what you're looking at when you have your classic WiscWeb sites versus the new infrastructure, the new WiscWeb sites, the UW Theme 2.0. Couple of the things, I just closed the chat. Let's bring that back up. Let's go up. Meow. Um, so one of the things to note is we updated both the UW Theme 2.0 and the UW Theme Classic to add in at the very bottom of your footer. This is how you know if a site has been built in UW Theme Classic or in UW Theme 2.0. We just put a little message in down there that said what it's built in. That's that. Um, the other most immediate thing to know the difference in, let me move this over here so I have the notes. Oh, we'll move it there, huh? Is when you start tinkering with your site and you edit a page. If this is what you see, you're in Classic. You don't see the blocks, you're still in Classic. But if you see the blocks, you're in 2.0. Immediacy right there. So the bigger question that people have had is, oh, I have X number of sites, but they're not in my drop down here. That's something it's going to exist between the two different infrastructures that we have. If you have sites in Classic, you're only going to see them when you log into the Classic infrastructure. If you have sites in 2.0, you're only going to see them when you log into 2.0. There's no converging of the two. They're built on two separate servers, two separate infrastructures, so they are separate now. So you have to log into them individually to be able to access them. The easiest way that I have found, so in doing support, the easiest way that I go about logging into sites is I will go to, so for example, this is a site that I've been doing some support stuff on. The easiest way to log in is go to the end of your URL and just type in wp-admin. That is the way that you log into your site's dashboard area. And then, what you could do as part of that is take your site and just bookmark it. And then what I would do is I would click edit and I would append my favorite URL there to add the /wp-admin and then save it. And then I can just click on it to trigger the login there.
Matt, can you bring up our website?
The WiscWeb website. Yes, I can. Make a grown man cry.
So many of you may have been logging in via going to wiscweb.wis.edu and clicking the login link either in the utility menu or the main menu on this site. And if you've done that recently, you will notice that this goes somewhere else now. If you click on it, it actually directs you to a KB doc on logging in. The reason for this is exactly what Matt was just talking about. We actually have two login locations now. It depends on if you're using UW Theme Classic or UW Theme 2.0. So instead of having that login link still take you to UW Theme Classic, we're having this go here so that we're training users how to log in with that /WP-admin approach that Matt just showed. And that's just because there's no single login link we can send you to anymore. This will all get better in roughly a year when everyone's migrated over to the new environment, and then we can update that login link and have a single place again.
We can't do it
Hopefully
now
that makes sense.
because of technical reasons that we're fixing in the new infrastructure, but the WiscWeb site cannot migrate until the rest of the WiscWeb service has migrated out of UW Theme Classic. So we will be the last ones on the ship, saluting and playing our violin as we go down. But we just can't do that. So that's the impetus for creating this KB doc and linking to this KB doc is we want to make sure we point people in the correct directions based on which site you're trying to access.
I do want to pause there just in case there's questions, because I know
Yep.
this has come up in support tickets. So let us know if that's not making sense. All right. Cool. Thank you all.
Ta-da! What Sarah was just saying. If you scroll halfway down this page, there she blows. That's the classic. Again, we can't get you into the new one. I suppose we could, but we really don't want to do this. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
you could bookmark that URL if you want, but it's not going to work for your new site. So that's the big piece.
Am I still sharing? Huh.
Yes.
That's interesting. My screen's not telling me that I'm sharing. Oh, there it is. Ah, Zoom. You lovely
Zoom.
thing, you. I looked over, like I don't have the green outline anymore. I didn't have the stop share option
Oh,
anymore. So I was like, huh, I've been telling people to click on these things while, just meandering along with nobody seeing. So
I would have told you.
that's
But I will say my camera turned off randomly and I did not turn it off. So maybe something weird's going on.
so okay.
I
With
almost
that,
said, oh,
yeah. With that, we can yield the floor to Ketter, and she will be demoing some stuff that she has put together to kind of highlight the differences between, well, not the differences, but some of the things that you can see now in UW Theme 2.0 and how they sort of correlate to what you are used to in Classic. So, Ketter, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'm going to share my screen. And coming from Teams and my brain has to remember, and it should be this screen. Can everyone see that okay? Okay, great.
yes.
I will put this resource quickly in the chat for you all, so you see where I'm looking. But right now I'm on the UW Theme 2.0 homepage. And so I just wanted to show where you can find this resource that I'll be talking through a little bit for the next few minutes. Under the About nav item, you can go to Design Differences. And this is a page where, thanks to WiscWeb for sharing this need for creating this page, is just showing you some of the larger changes that you'll notice when you migrate and or if you're just rebuilding your site from scratch in UW Theme 2.0. And it's not an exhaustive list because that would be exhausting for you, but it's kind of the main ones that people might care more about or be kind of looking for. So the first one is alternating content. People are probably pretty used to that page element. It's frequently used. Alternating content is where you've got text and images alternating down the page. It's typically all related content or related to a particular topic. In the UW Theme 2.0, we don't have a block specifically for that. We've designed patterns for you to apply that type of style instead. So you can kind of see the before and after here. In the new theme, there's space between each alternating content row. One of the reasons for that was just to kind of improve readability as you're scanning longer pages and to connect the text and the image more closely together as kind of a singular topic. But you can always remove that spacing in the editor if you wanted to. And let me just show you what it looks like to add that on the page. I'm just going to open up a new page here. I'm going to exit out of the full page patterns. And if I go into the block inserter on this new page, and then I click on patterns, I will search for alternating content. Just Alt brings it up. So let me show you this one. You can see here, now I've got this pattern on the page that I can start editing. Hey, and then I can kind of go from there and edit to design however I'd like it to look. And in here, let me use the list view. I'm going to figure out where we added the spacing between each alternating content row so you can see what I'm talking about, and how we added that spacing. You can see there's some padding below here. You can manipulate that padding. So maybe you want less, maybe you want a little bit more, just depends on your images and your content. But that's just to give you an idea. You can start with this pattern and then you can make it your own. But you don't have to start from scratch. It's just here for you. So that's alternating content. You'll use a pattern instead of a block for that. And the next one is breadcrumbs. So in UW Theme Classic, breadcrumbs always displayed, if you had them enabled, displayed below your hero image or your hero carousel. In UW Theme 2.0, they display above that, and they're always sitting below your main navigation. That originally came about because it was a limitation with the block editor, but it is also a common web pattern that you see. So, having navigation content grouped with other types of navigation content can be useful. But just noting that that's a change. You can't change where that sits within the page. It's fixed in that setting. And in UW Theme 2.0, rather than using the customizer to enable your breadcrumbs, you're using theme settings page. That's a change. And I will just show you where you find that. Some of you have probably seen this before, but I figure it's still good to kind of to go through it again. But here I am on the landing on my page view in the WordPress editor. If I go into appearance, this is where you would typically see customize as an item. You won't see that anymore. You'll see theme settings. If you go here, this is under the site-wide tab. This is where you can enable or disable your breadcrumbs. So just a reminder that that's where those live in this new universe. And it is a new universe. Cool, that's breadcrumbs. The next one is group of links. And some of you have probably seen this already, but oh, what's whimsy? Oh my gosh. Okay. I won't cover that. Well, maybe I will, but I'll send you a link as to where I kind of want you to find it. It's sort of a secret, what whimsy does. But yes, is somebody able to share that theme settings page in the whimsy section? I would love if anyone was even able to find it in this call. That would be great. But group of links has changed. So you see there's different styling to this, a little bit more white space. White space was a deliberate change in the theme that we have added to help with readability, add a little bit more breathing room. And yeah, these are different. And you can find out more about the group of links. We have a specific block for that. So that you're used to in the UW Theme Classic is grabbing the group of links page element. That also exists in the new theme. I'll open this up in a new tab. Just as a reminder, if you go under the features main nav and click blocks, you can see the list of all the custom UW blocks here that you will have access to in the theme. So this is another place where you can go to sort of figure out like, oh yeah, like what does the group of links look like again? And on that group of links page, you'll get a little description and then a block preview. And we've added some recommendations for when to use these and maybe when you should consider something else and things to look out for usability and accessibility. But yeah, the group of links has changed. And you do have options to display these in up to 3 columns if the container is wide enough. That I believe in UW Theme Classic, we made that prediction for you. So you have a little bit more of some control of your design in this world. I will add one to the page just so you can see what I'm talking about. Again, there is multiple ways to add blocks. One way is the block inserter. I can search for group of links. I can add it to the page by just clicking here. When you get a little bit more comfortable and you start using a ton of blocks that you get used to, you can do / and then group of links, find it here. I'm doing that just because that's what I'm used to now. That's what I've been doing more of. But you can see here's the group of links. I've added it to the page. You start with a 2 column and you start with 4 placeholders. If I was to click on the main block here, you can see I've got columns I can access, but you can see the container is wide enough. So you get 3 columns here. And if I want to, something that's different about the group of links is there are 2 different arrow styles. I can have the circle arrow. I can have just the regular arrow with blue links, or I can have no links, no arrows. Hello there. But I still get the nice hover effect. Group of links is meant to be just like a little bit more of a special link that draws a little bit more attention and engagement if it's resources that you really want your users to see. So that's why they have a little bit of a different interaction than other standard body text links. Okay, the other thing that's different with group of links is that in UW Theme Classic, you could style those as buttons. Because Gutenberg comes with a buttons block, we've decoupled those settings from the group of links because it's less for us to maintain. It's a little bit easier for you all to figure out like that they're buttons and not associated with the group of links. So you will use the buttons block for creating a group of buttons. And just to show you that process again, I'm comfortable with the / command in the editor. So I'm just going to do / button. And now I've got a button here. And I can change the color if I'd like to. But I can also click here and this ellipses and say duplicate. I can do Command Shift D and duplicate, or I can click here in the list view and duplicate that way. So many different ways to do things, and you will find the one that works best for you. But that's how you can create that group of buttons. There's lots more to learn about buttons, but you can go to the buttons block page and find out a little bit more. But it's a fun one to work with. The UW card style, this is also different. We've changed the visual design of this and also how we use patterns to create these right now. So you'll notice that the red bottom border is no longer there. That's a deliberate design decision we made just to kind of update our designs a little bit. Something we heard from users over the years is wanting a bit of a refresh. So we don't add that to our cards that we've made in patterns. And then the drop shadows are still optional, but it's drop shadows and how those work are just different in Gutenberg. And I'll show you the best way to create a card in UW Theme 2.0 is grabbing a pattern for that specifically and starting there first. And we've got a category in our patterns inserter called cards. So I'll go here, click on patterns. I'm going to go to the cards view, and I've got some pre-made patterns over here that you could start with if you'd like. So this is a good way to kind of get familiar with the design. Maybe I don't want a little a label here. I can remove that. I can customize these. You can learn more about drop shadows on the 2.0 site, but knowing here, this drop shadow is applied in this particular block settings that comes built with WordPress core. I could remove that if I'd like to by just clicking remove here in the block settings, and you can see that's how I can make it optional or not, or apply it. You can customize from here once you add the pattern to the page. So that's cards. And the hero area, this also was a page element in UW Theme Classic previously, and we are using patterns for this instead. And you might also be familiar with what we called in UW Theme Classic as the hero content inset area. It's like this card over the hero image. We did not rebuild that in UW Theme 2.0. It's a design choice we're trying to move away from. Just the complexity of having something over an image like this, an image over an image with text. It was just kind of a lot. And we wanted to simplify this style. So you can start with any banner in the hero era that you'd like on your page, and I'll show you what that looks like a little bit here. I'm going to use my list view to delete these blocks just so you can see what something looks like up at the top of the page. Awesome. Let's add I'm going to go to the banners category in my patterns. And you could use these lower on the page as well, but these are also, just think of them as a full bleed area for your site. They could be at the top or farther down. But here's the one that we have on the UW theme design differences page that you just saw. I'm adding this to the page and I can start editing from here, but this is like a nice starter that's similar to what you saw, most similar to what you were probably working with in UW Theme Classic. New patterns. So that's the hero area. We use this starter pattern in our hero carousel block as well. So if I was to, a lot of times people are having a carousel at the top. If I search for hero in the block inserter, I get the UW hero carousel block. And this starts with that pattern that you just saw. It's a standalone pattern, but it's also built into the hero carousel block as something you can start with. The devs did an amazing job with this carousel. It works in the editor view and on the front end. So that's a pretty cool feature that you can kind of see how it will look and imagine what it will look like when you publish the page as well. Image and content carousel. This has been renamed to the UW story slider. And one reason for that rename is that we would like to encourage folks to use this when they're trying to tell a sequential story so that your images pair well all together in that grouping of a slider. Helps with the reader experience and being able to tell your own stories well. There you can see they're fairly similar, but like the idea of text next to an image, but we're hoping that their purpose is a little bit more clear and can help you aid in creating your own content. Let me add one to the page just so you can see what that looks like. Story slider. It starts in full width with the preview slides turned on. It took us a long time to figure out what to call those things. But I can customize some things here. I can do dots as my control navigation, numbers. I can decide to remove the preview slides. Maybe you just want to have more of a traditional slider feel. But just know that the image and content carousel, this is the replacement for that. So it's just a different naming, a little bit of a different design as well. Image galleries, these look different, but they're relatively similar. We're just relying on the WordPress core gallery block for this instead. We didn't build our own solution for this, and this is just noting that there is a bit of a design difference. The captions overlay the image, and I think they look nice. They look nicer in this new world. You get a little bit more larger thumbnails if you'd like. You can go to the WordPress core documentation to learn more about the gallery block itself, but it's a very simple block. It kind of is just like you want a gallery of images, it will give you a gallery of images. It doesn't have a ton of bells and whistles, but it does what you need it to do for simple galleries. List spacing is a little bit different. The primary difference is that the default spacing when you add a list block to the page is a little bit tighter, and then you have the option to make it to have more space between them. In UW Theme Classic, that was flipped. And let's add the list block to the page. Let's do the block inserter way so you can see that for adding it. Here's my list block. And lorem ipsum, blah, blah. You can see it's tight. I'm going to select the block here. And then if I go to the block settings on the right, I can select more space. So that's how you accomplish that in this new world. If you click default, it goes back to its default spacing. So that's list spacing. The people listing block, the main difference here we're calling out, there is some design changes, obviously. Like a lot of what we heard from you all over the years is that you'd like more layout options for this, like the ability to place these in a card style and to have round images. Those things are possible now. But calling out on this page, at least, is that filter results header that you see right here has just been removed from this. Gives you a little bit of a cleaner layout, only showing users the information that they need. If you want to see a little bit more about the people listing block, it was previously known as faculty staff. You can learn a little bit more about it on the block page and see some examples of how you might use that. I think I've got an example on here of round images. Yes, so here's just a quick example. This is an amazing block. It's really complex. The developers did an amazing job working on this. So I'm excited for folks to start using it, giving us some feedback, and we hope you like it. I think you will. Quote styles had updates. You know, the UW Theme Classic had a stylized quote and a block quote option. We have the same options in UW Theme 2.0, but we've put those all in one block called UW Quote. And the poll quote style is, you can see we've got that top rule, red rule at the top with an icon in the center for poll quote. And I've been learning a lot about quotes. Poll quotes are quote content that's pulled from your surrounding text that's on the page. So there's an example of that in this page here. And then a block quote is used for quoting an external source or speaker. And you can learn more about that on the UW Quote block page as well, how to use those things. There's some nice ways you can mix and match. I'll be excited to see what patterns people create with these on your own sites. But, you know, we've got a pattern already in the theme where you can add an image on top. Just different things you can do. And let me show you that pattern. Kate Price, I don't know if she's on the call, but if you are, she created another quote testimonial pattern. If I search quote and patterns, yeah, these two show up. So this is just giving you an idea of you know, different ways you can use this block with other blocks. Great, 1041. Okay, almost done here. The red mini bar, this is the last one. The red mini bar is known, sometimes we call it the eyebrow, sometimes we call it other things, but it's the red mini bar. And that's what you'll see the labeling in the block editor. And it's every page title, a new page, the heading starts with the mini bar. And let me give you a visual because this is could be sort of complex. And if you create a new page, your site title heading, your H1 always starts with the mini bar. You can turn that off. We recommend, you know, most site titles having the mini bar. It does depend on your design needs, but in all other instances, the H2 through the H6, it does not default with the mini bar on. So let's add a heading block here and say, here's my heading 2. You can see it doesn't come with the mini bar, but in the block settings, I have it selected. So I can see these block settings for the heading. If I click mini bar, then there it is. I can center it and do those types of things. There is a theme best practices page on the UW Theme 2.0 site. I recommend people checking out if you're kind of wondering, like, oh, some of this stuff is a little overwhelming. There's a lot of choices. We've tried to help you make the best ones on this theme settings page. Oh, sorry, not theme settings, best practices. I'm getting my languages confused. theme best practices. If you go to typography, like headings and page title, we've got some content here to help you understand when to use the red mini bar, that type of stuff. So definitely check that page out if it could be useful for you. That was so many things, but I'm done. Hopefully this is helpful. If you feel like there's something that's missing from this page that would be really nice to include, please let us know. We would love to add more or clarify anything anytime. I can stop sharing here.
Thank you, Ketter. That was awesome.
Oh.
Also, shout out to Ketter, because there was a comment in the chat that I'll share, Ketter. I don't know if you saw this earlier. Wow, I'm really impressed with UW Theme 2.0 overall. And this is also, this documentation is amazing. Ketter did a huge amount of work on the site, and she is amazing. Great designer, great UX person, great at writing content. So you have her to thank for the amazing pages there. And also tons of shout outs to the designers and developers of the theme. There were a couple of kudos that were shared during the session. They all did just such a wonderful job. They've been working extremely hard to make sure that this theme works well for you. And I think it shows. It's a great result. So we're glad that you like it. Thanks, everybody. There's a question in the chat from Maria. I'm curious about the short code, like back to top. What does that look like in 2.0? Great question. We can show that. Matt, do you want to take that one on? Do you feel comfortable screen sharing for that one?
Can I yield to Ketter on that if you know how to do it? I actually don't know what the right answer is for that at the moment.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
I was just working. That's totally cool. Unless Jenna, did you want to share it?
I was going to say, I'll bring up the link and I'll put that in the chat while you talk, Ketter.
Okay.
To the block page. Thank you.
Perfect. Let me open up Google my desktop.
Oh, Andrea already got it. Thank you, Andrea.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So it looks like it's a pattern. And then there are other short codes too, like I know the one that's like reusable content is not going to be
right
used in 2.0, but that you'll use patterns instead. Are there other short codes that you see that are used commonly that besides like back to top and things that will look different?
So the other one,
check our short.
The other one that has been used in some places that isn't going to be workable in Theme 2.0 is the UW search input short code, where you could have used the search field within a page itself. So that one is also not going to work.
But I will say our migration paths should be mapping the search short code to the search block.
Yes.
So you'll still see something. There is a search block in Gutenberg natively that it's migrating that content to. Very similar in terms of experience.
So thank you. So it looks like basically we're just going to be looking for blocks instead of short code.
In every case, you're going to be looking for blocks instead of what existed beforehand. And this is kind of one of those things where we're running into some, I shouldn't say issues, but some of the things that we have to go through in relation to creating the migration paths is, as Jenna has pointed out in some of the things that she has said, some of the notes that we've sent out, in some cases, there just simply isn't a one-to-one, this page element matches to this block in Theme 2.0. In some cases, we've been able to custom develop that path, but in some of the other cases, we simply haven't been able to, and it will either fall back to you need to make some design decisions, or you just simply need to recreate that content using blocks themselves instead. So
great. Thank you so much. It looks lovely. Thank you so much.
I don't know if it's worth also sharing the synced pattern option for reusable content. Maybe not.
Yeah, I suppose, but you got 13 minutes left, and I don't know. I don't know. That's a big thing.
I will say that one might be a big. Yeah, I wanted to go through. There have been a couple things in the chat. So we covered the back to top kind of showed that on screen. That should migrate. We talked about the search. Ketter also showed that. RSS feeds also use a short code that will migrate over. There's an RSS block in Gutenberg. Someone also asked about Udemy events, which use a short code. Those will automatically migrate for you. And then, yes, Linda, you asked about the reusable content. Reusable content is not something that we're recreating in that same approach for UW Theme 2.0 because Gutenberg or the block editor natively offers this concept of synced patterns. That will not auto-migrate. You will have to manually recreate that content as a synced pattern on your site. We will not be creating that for you.
And I think I touched on
But
what a
if you need
synced
help when you
pattern.
get there, yeah.
I think I touched on what a synced pattern and what a pattern was in the 2.0 training videos that I created. We haven't touched on it too much either, but maybe that's just a session that Ketter and I can just kind of do at some point to kind of walk people through the concept and the use of it.
Yeah.
It's not that it's difficult. It's just simply it's a different way of thinking about how you're building your content and the intent and purpose of that content.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. Synced patterns are things that can stay the same across multiple pages. Patterns are things that can be unique to each page. So you could have a pattern, drop it on your page, and then edit that pattern. Or you could have a synced pattern that you can drop on any page, but if you edit the master pattern, it edits it across the board, similar to like what reusable content was. And I should also say another one, coming back to what Maria asked earlier, another short code that you'll see that we don't have an answer for yet as we begin the migration process is UW Publications. UW Publications won't exist when we start migrating content into UW Theme 2.0. So anybody who does begin the migration process and did use the Publications plugin will see the short code show up. It will not work, and we do not have an answer for it yet, nor do we have a timeline for an answer for it yet. We have investigated, and that's kind of where we're at right now is synthesizing that information that we got from our user interviews and turning that into some actionable items for our team. But that type of work isn't going to happen until we get to the migration point, past the migration point, I guess I should say.
I'm going to throw this in the chat, but as a reminder, we have something called the element conversion table.
Yep.
We've shown this before, but in case you haven't seen it, I'll just share it there. This table has the various features of UW Theme Classic and WiscWeb, and notes if things are completed, in review, in progress, deprecated, etc. So if there's a feature that you're wondering about, you should be able to search it there too. It also has in the notes column any migration related nuance that you might need to be aware of. That's more so for when you get into the migration process, but in case it's interesting now. I'll also just remind folks, because I did get this question during this meeting in another format, that we have a whole hub for the migration process now so that folks can kind of orient to what that will be like. Documentation. Hopefully that link. Oh, let me link that.
No.
Yeah. One sec.
Is
there
that
we go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's just the KB space.
Yep, that's what I was
some
gonna
people
grab.
are just kind of wondering, like, what can they expect with this process? This has all the documentation. We've been updating it along the way as things have changed, as we've learned more about how things will work. Noting that the training videos are not yet recorded for migration specifically, but the training on UW Theme 2.0 is. But the instructions under migration process are up to date. So if you click on that one, Matt, that top center card, yeah. This is up to date with what the process will look like, what will be expected of you. So if you're kind of trying to figure out what you'll need to do. This is kind of the overview. And when we open this path, we'll have more information for you as well.
Yeah, my intention is once we have things in sort of like a ready go state, um either I'll do a one-off session, or if it times up nicely, we'll do it during a lunch and learn. We'll just do another demo of, because we did it several months ago, a few months ago, I don't remember when. We did do kind of like an overview of what the migration process will look like. The migration process looks different now than what it looked like when we did that demo. So once we're at a ready go state, we'll do a demonstration of that process so that it is recorded and you guys can look back on that in the future. And then also, I think Ketter and I could probably stay busy for weeks on end doing demonstrations of all of the various things that you can do within Theme 2.0. But I think there are a few things that probably we should either Ketter and Kate, or myself and Ketter um, could do to show off some of the very cool things that are available and can be done within the new theme. But I guess that's something that we just kind of have to consider as we move forward once time frees itself up for us all.
Ooh, that was a lot. Questions? Got about 6 minutes if you've got any.
Hi,
Hopefully we caught
I have
everything.
a
Yeah.
I have a question that's unrelated to this content, but related to just migration, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Awesome. So we have we're like leasing a media server through Do It Web Hosting, and I was just curious, when we do this migration, is there anything we have to do with the items on our media server, or do we have to think about updating the links to all the content on our media server after we migrate the website? Just anticipating any work there.
So to confirm, you are not in WiscWeb. This is like a web hosting site that is in UW Theme Classic currently.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go with that. I think that's correct.
So what we're kind of sharing here was pretty specific to the WiscWeb migration. For distributed developers who are kind of hosting the theme outside of WiscWeb, it will be slightly different. The
Okay.
initial release of the migration path is not targeted for that audience. It is targeted for WiscWeb specifically. And
Okay.
then after that release, we'll roadmap time to look at what that path would look like for folks who are hosting the theme on their own. I think a lot of that is still a bit up in the air, just with how things have been more focused on the WiscWeb side. So I would say I would recommend there is a Teams group called WP Users. If you're not already in that, let me know and I can add you. And I can also add you to the private distributed dev channel that's in there. That's a good resource for kind of keeping an eye on news and conversation around that space.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll just
Yeah.
I can shoot you an email after this if you need my
Okay.
like net ID and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great. That way I can just let you know when it's ready.
Cool. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we
Thanks,
know that's going to be a need moving forward, because there are a number of groups that are going to be coming into WiscWeb, or I shouldn't say that are going to be, that's presumptuous. There are a number of groups that have expressed interest in coming into WiscWeb, and that is one of the hangups, is the fact that there is no migration path for non-WiscWeb sites. We have the concept of a plan, but we don't have a plan yet. Mainly, as Jenna said, our focus has been making sure that the migration for WiscWeb works one-to-one. And then once we know that that's ironed out, the sky's the limit for what we can do for other processes.
Got it. Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also put in the chat a link to the WordPress users Teams group
Thank
as
you.
well. So
Oh, great. Thanks.
yeah.
There's also developer resources on the UW Theme 2.0 site. I'll add that to the chat as well.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Matt, can you hear me? This is Jim Whitkins.
Yes, sir. Hi, Jim.
Hey, so we started building a site in the classic version, and we didn't actually
Yep.
get far. And then we figured, all right, the migration is coming, so we'll wait for that. But it might make sense for us to start anew. So just start, the 2.0. I guess my
Yep.
question is, will we still have access to the classic version that we started building?
Yes. So that kind of goes back to what we were saying originally about the whole login process. Your classic site lives on one infrastructure. Your UW Theme 2.0 lives on a different infrastructure, and never shall the two meet. So what's living over on on Classic will remain living on Classic. So even if you haven't launched your site over here, it still lives over here. And if you request a from scratch site over here, everything that you do will still be over here. There's no intermingling between the two.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. And that's kind of why I've been, whenever I have some of these conversations with folks about like the timeline, the processes, and things like that, I have not strongly but mildly encouraged people to seriously consider the from scratch process. Yes, it's a little more labor intensive. Yes, there is the fact that you don't get your media library, but other than those two things, it's a clean slate to kind of do things without the burden of history. It's great that you have all of this content over here, but if you really want to freshen things up, starting from scratch is just a nice way. And again, from scratch, we have no time limit. You could take 6 months and then launch your from scratch site. You could take 10 months and then launch your from scratch site to replace your URL. But during that time, you have this clean slate to work from. And again, the size of the site definitely plays into that. It's easy for me to say when I'm not looking at 500 pages worth of content. But at the same time, I don't know, are all 500 of those pages needed? Or are 200 of those pages needed and the other 300 filler for stuff that's no longer, relevant or necessary? That's the kind of thing that I want people to take a look at is what's needed, what's nice, what doesn't need to go along with us during this process. Use your analytics, look at those pages that aren't getting a lot of visits, use data as your argument as to whether or not the content needs to come along with you, that type of stuff. And also think of alternative ways to deliver that content. Box, Google Drives, the knowledge base. Those are other things that we are encouraging people to take a look at as well, because some of that content maybe doesn't need to be in a website. Maybe it needs to be somewhere where a process documentation needs to go, and that would be the knowledge base. Or if it's just items that you need to share, PDFs, things like that, maybe a box directory is better for that. So that's the type of stuff that I really do want to encourage people to think about as you're moving forward, thinking about the migration process is, do I need all of this stuff? Do I need to bring my attic along with me, or can I leave the attic behind? That kind of thing. So there's my soapbox. I'll put it away.
It was
All right,
great.
we hit 1 o'clock.
Yep.
So I will stop the recording there.